All right, here we're going to start our third CAD instructional video. Today's feature is a pretty powerful feature. Super cool, can save you a lot of time in the end. Much more time than if you were to manual draft this stuff for sure, but also just the way the power of this tool is extremely efficient. So let me show you. It's called linear pattern, and basically, if you think of like us making a Connect 4 board with a bunch of holes, we're going to quickly make all those holes. And instead of having to do it individually, we're just going to do one and then say, hey, hole, follow this pattern. And what will end up looking like a block of Swiss cheese or a 1, 2, 3 block, if you're familiar with that tool in machining. Basically, you can pretend that B from the last video doesn't want a curved tunnel anymore, but is instead in a competition to decide how many holes he can bore into a block of wood. So let's create that block of wood again, just by going to create document, and let's just call it Swiss cheese because it'll look like Swiss cheese when we're done with it. And you're going to start off by making a 3x3 square, a rectangle. Square is technically a rectangle. You're going to do that in the front plane. So select your front plane, select sketch, get yourself so you're looking right at it, and go to your rectangle. Make sure when you start your rectangle, you are right on that origin. That'll help with getting it fully defined. Remember, it's blue right now, and blue means that we can change it and modify it just by a click of a mouse. We don't want that ability. We want it locked in place. We want to be able to control the changes. So I'm going to go to turn on my dimension button. It's on. I'm going to select this leg of that square and enter 3, and this leg of what will now be a square, 3. We now have a 3x3 square. It's ready to go to extrude. Let's enter into 3D world now. So I'm going to select this extrude. It's asking me for solid new material and which face and sketch regions to extrude. I can just select that rectangle, and just so I have an idea, I'm going to rotate it, and you can see that it's now growing. Where we want a depth of 1 inch is fine for this activity. Make it 1 inch and hit the green check mark. All right, pretty basic review of what we did in the last video, only I think we made that one a 2-inch block. Either way, what we're going to do now is drill 1 hole through this block. We're going to do that by sketching on the block. So let's say I want to drill a hole through this edge. I can select this. You can go to View Normal To. I want to show you that ability. And what I'll do is just rotate it so you're staring straight at it. I don't want to drill my holes this way. This carpenter bee would rather not drill that much material. He just wants more holes. So let's go to the front view, which you can do by clicking this, or you can do by doing that right click, View, Normal To. I'll bring you right to it. What we're going to do now is draw a circle. Sketch, select a sketch plane. Now the sketch plane, again, we got these planes here, front, top, and right view that we could select. This time, the plane we're going to sketch on is actually the face of extrude 1, our first extrude. And it's going to tell us that face of extrude 1, you're good to go. You can go ahead and start sketching. The reason we want it face on extrude 1 is because we want that circle to go right through that part. And if you look at it, that circle is right where it needs to be. Now it's blue, so it can change size. Oopsies, I've got the circle command turned on still. So let's turn that off. Okay, it's off. And the other thing it can do is move all over the place. Now notice it's gonna stay in the same plane as that face. Okay, I can't, it looks like I'm moving it backwards right now. But when you spin this around, it has to stay in that same plane. That's important. All right, dimensions are going to be pretty easy for this one. I'm going to dimension that out to 0.5 for diameter. And let's make it 0.5 from the edge. And 0.5 from the bottom. Now, is this all the information we need to make that blue circle black? Looks like it is. Perfect. All right, now we're going to extrude that circle in the same way we extruded the 3x3 square. Only this time we're going to subtract material. When we made that square, we were creating material from nothing. Now we've got material there, and we want to subtract material from it. So we can go ahead and hit check here. And what we're going to do is select extrude. And this time we want to remove material. Not new, not add. We want to remove it. And it's going to ask, in that blue rectangle again, paste in sketch regions to extrude. Well, that circle is what we want to extrude. And notice how it makes that hole go all the way through it. Okay. If you had that circle selected and you went ahead and hit extrude, you probably ended up with something that looks like this. It thinks you want to add a pin to the part by default. You don't, or you don't want to create a new pin, I guess. You want to remove it. So just hit remove and it'll make that hole go all the way through. Now, this says it's a blind hole with a depth of 1 inch. Well, what a blind hole really is a hole that doesn't go all the way through a part. So this hole goes part way in. That is called a blind hole. Let's say later on down the road, we want to make this block thicker for one reason or another, but we always want those holes to be through holes. Maybe we're designing a swing set, decide 4x4s aren't big enough. We want 6x6s. So we're going to change all of our parts to 6x6s, but those carriage bolts that hold swing sets together still need to go all the way through, whether it's 6x6 or 4x4. So let's go ahead and just tell it, hey, whatever we do, make sure that that hole always goes through this block. And then we can hit check. And no matter what, if I go in and change the thickness of that block, that hole will still go all the way through. All right, so now we got one hole. And we're going to, as quickly as we can, make this into 9 holes. That Carpenter B just wants to drill, drill, drill. Funny. So one way we can do that is with the linear pattern tool. You're not in Sketch anymore. You got back to the same toolbar I'm looking at as far as your 3D tools. You're going to select this linear pattern tool now. This is a little different than what I remember from back in my SolidWorks day. It was a little bit of a learning curve for me. But we don't want to create duplicates of the part. Right now, the part 1, you hold your mouse over that, it puts the halo around the whole entity. That's not what we want. We want to duplicate that hole, which is a feature of the part. You'll want to know that vocabulary. That hole is a feature of the part. So it's going to be a feature pattern. And then it asks in this blue rectangle, after you click that drop down and changed it from part pattern to feature pattern right here, blue rectangle says, all right, which features do you want to pattern? Well, if you come over here to your design tree, extrude 1 was when we made the block bigger, and extrude 2 was when we drilled the hole. So go ahead and click extrude 2. Okay, and now it's asking for direction. What you want to do is pick a component of this part that will align with the direction you want to go. So let's say we want to drill more holes going in the direction of my mouse cursor right now, up and down. Just pick this edge as that up and down. Oopsies. All right, teachable moment here. I accidentally was still in the features to pattern. Just hit that red X if that happens. Okay, this red rectangle means you need input here. Click it to make it blue and then pick that corner. Okay. Oh, and what I accidentally did, all right, remember how I said extrude 1 was the block? When I got both of them in there, I deleted the wrong one. Which extrude do we want for it to be the hole? It's not extrude 1. It's going to be extrude 2. Okay, see, pretty easy changes. Let's make that there's 3 instances, and let's just leave it at 1 inch. Now we got 3 holes. Okay, but I want to compound that and make it 3 holes the other direction. So what I'm going to do with 30 seconds left here is double click linear pattern, and I'm going to create a second direction. I'm going to click that bottom edge as my second direction, and I'm going to make this 3. Okay, now check this out. If it doesn't show up like that, play around with this button, because what it's doing is, yes, we picked that bottom edge, but we don't know if that direction is going that way or that way. So that button will flip-flop it for you if you need.